You don't have to do this.
Well, we have a massive surprise to talk about today. Blade and Sorcery just dropped some massive news, not only about Blade and Sorcery, but a future project. So let's jump into the surprise Steam news right now. The Baron kicks things off saying, hey, welcome back. They're bringing you some cool news from the Warpfrog team after a little break. He's saying the first thing that he wanted to let everyone know that Warpfrog, the studio that is Blade and Sorcery, are officially working on their next game, exclamation point. Now, I'm sure everyone knew that, but this is official. They are officially creating their next game. What does working on the next game mean? I'm sure we'll find that out in due time. Are they in the documenting phase? Are they in the creation phase? Who knows? They know. We'll find that out soon. Baron says it's way too early to do any kind of reveal, so they're going to keep this under their hats for now and keep cooking. Then in the future, they can do some big reveal announcement trailer that will definitely break down and will be super exciting. So a lot of people were assuming that after Blade and Sorcery was going to come Blade and Sorcery 2, but they're letting us know that they are nipping it in the bud, and it is not Blade and Sorcery 2 with a Donatello Ninja Turtle winking face, whatever that means. I mean, I guess the next game is about the Ninja Turtles. They're making the Ninja Turtles! However, they can reveal that the new game is a lot of the same DNA with Blade and Sorcery, and you'll feel like it's a Warpfrog game, which is a great thing because I'm excited to see the future of their physics develop. Like, they're using physics from 2016 and the year of our Lord 2025. So I'm excited to see what they do next. So he says, similar to Blade and Sorcery, the next VR game will be a physics-based simulation as anti-quote-unquote gamey as possible and super mod-friendly. Thank God. The DNA of Warpfrog is modding, so I'm so excited to see what this is going to be. Is it going to be in space? Is it going to be space Blade and Sorcery? That'd be cool. Now, another thing to take a peek at is their new improved Thunder Road 2 game framework. If you guys don't know or don't care, just Thunder Road is basically the quote-unquote coding quote-unquote language. I keep saying quote-unquote, that they use in Blade and Sorcery. It's what connects everything together, and that's why they refer to it as spaghetti code at this point. So their Thunder Road 2 is basically them redoing and opening up their possibility of making just a better game, which is important because people might just say, hey, just update Blade and Sorcery, make it a live service, I guess. Who's saying that? Shut up if you're saying that. Anyway, they're saying that the largest obstacle that prevents them from doing any major expanses to Blade and Sorcery is Thunder Road 1, like the very first thing that they used, because if you guys didn't know, U7 was supposed to be Blade and Sorcery's, like, that was the game, was supposed to be update 7. And they're like, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. So it was kind of quote unquote, I keep saying quote unquote, someone shoot me if I say quote unquote again, but they were saying that U7 was it, and they just kept it going, which is funny. So that's why the game is running on such older code. Anyway, so with that, the team buckled down to work on the new video game. That brings me to Blade and Sorcery. So it's been over a year since 1.0 has come out. There's been 7 posts about 1.0 patches, and you've heard them say many times that 1.0 was going to be their next update. But is it? You know, Warpfrog always has like this surprise. You know how like back in the day, Apple's like, wait, one more thing. That's basically Warpfrog now in the best way possible. So to quote Baron, he says, if you have been a follower of the studio, you will know that Warpfrog has a terrible condition called scope creepitis, which was where they literally cannot leave things alone or follow on their own production plans. Therefore, Baron is here to announce the upcoming Byeth updates for Blade and Sorcery. That's right, huge news. Blade and Sorcery, both the PC version and the Quest version, will still continue to receive new content and updates. That's huge. Look at this map right here. This is the map of like the kingdoms. This is the Earth Kingdom, the war. Is this the last Airbender? But basically, this is like their lore expanded. So he goes into it and says, what are the updates? So Byeth is the name of the planet which Blade and Sorcery takes place on. So the Byeth updates are going to be a series of 4, count them, 4 free content updates for PC and Nomad that expand upon the other nations of Byeth. The Rakta, the Centauri, the Kartib, and the Madlu by bringing official canon weapons and armor from these nations into the game. And of course, if you already own the game, you're going to receive the content updates for free, so nothing paid, which is cool. So the first update is the Rakta update, which will release later this year, likely towards the end of the year. And then we have the Sintara update, the Kartib update, and the Madlu update, which will follow the next year, leading all the way up to the end of 2026. So this is almost Baron, almost him officially announcing their next game is coming out in 2027. So we're in the tail end of 2025 here. So only a year-ish, year plus, and then we're good. We're golden. And just look at this concept art that they have for, who is this? Is this a Centaura? It looks like a demon. I'm staring at a demon staring back at me. This looks awesome. Oh, it's the new Rakta armor concept art. Jeez. That is horrifying in such a good way. So Baron says that they love Blade and Sorcery and the journey that brought them here. And the fan base, as mentioned, it's really hard for them to step away. But once again, Thunder Road has made it impossible to continue expanding in a significant way to Blade and Sorcery. So adding weapons and armor, almost like official quote-unquote mods. I said quote-unquote again, damn it! But at this point, if they were to add an actual major significant upgrade, like a new story or new whatever, they would end up with the updates that were spaced years apart, and that would be unsustainable for the studio because they're hard working on the next game. But as they enter into heavy development period for the next video game, they would feel bad if they were to leave Warpfrog fans out waiting for a long time. So they wanted them to have something, almost like to piecemeal it. So they felt that these content updates were a feasible middle ground, where most of the Warfrog team is working on the new title, but a small dedicated skeleton crew are staying behind to work on these Blade and Sorcery updates. Which I don't know. If I was like a smaller dev in there and I saw the entire other team working on the next game and I was in the background working on the Blade and Sorcery updates, I would feel left out. I don't know. I hope they still get some time to work on the new game too, because that would feel a little bad. But anyway, what to expect? So these updates will definitely be included in the new canon lore, weapons and armor, and be representative of the other nations of Byeth. The new gear will be purchasable in the Crystal Hunt shop, and likely the shopkeeper will have a little lore to share in each update about how he came by them. So that's cool. So we're going to get some new dialogue by the Baron himself. So to go with this, it's likely that each update will also include some kind of little feature. And by little feature, he means it's something that won't likely cause mega bugs or break the game. So that means no massive overhauls or complex mechanics, which I'm kind of glad in a way. Like we said, you know, Blade and Sorcery, the more you tweak it, the more it breaks, especially with that older code. So don't expect like Hector's friend Vector to come down and he's like a stone dragon, which would be awesome. I mean, I would like to fight a stone dragon, but I digress because the game will just fall apart at that point. But these new weapons look cool. You have like a Naginata, a big bow staff, a Kanabo bonky club. That's cool. Now Baron says the risk involved and what not to expect, so fans of Warpfrog will know that they explicitly try not to overpromise and underdeliver, especially with marketing and all that stuff, which is an amazing quality to have in the studio. So he says these updates need to have a spec ops level of precision and to demonstrate restraint in what we can and cannot add. And as mentioned before about the complexities of Thunder Road 1, adding any type of change to the game is an absolute nightmare right now. Even maybe some of these weapons, hopefully not, but everything is excruciatingly slow to work with, and when you add one thing, it breaks 10 other random things. So they have to be super careful here. Adding something new is like placing a block on top of an already wobbling Jenga tower, which is an amazing metaphor. I'm going to give Baron 2 points for that one. So with that being said, what won't be included in these updates is any feature heavy that could break the game. That means nothing like a new dungeon, no maps, no new mechanics. The emphasis is going to be on weapons and armor type content. So the goal here is to desperately avoid creating any instability where Warfrog devs start getting pulled off the new game development and have to go back and fix that stuff. So I guess the front running, lead the way main developers like, you know, Cosby, Lineca, other names that I definitely know, they're front loading. So they're the hard workers. Everyone's a hard worker. What am I saying? Ignore me. Everyone that's working is a hard worker, but they have obviously, you know, the project managers and people in charge leading that charge while everyone else is doing other things. Now, here's something I really wanted to take a look at under a magnifying glass, is saying that as they update, they're going to do as well as they can to avoid anything code heavy that won't cause a mod apocalypse and quote unquote nuke all the mods. Now here's the thing. I want to believe that. My soul wants to believe that. But anytime a game that supports mods gets updated, something breaks. Even if it was completely unintentional, like this won't break mods, it breaks the mods. Something that's got to be like a hand placement, the SDK, something does weird, emissions break. It's a slight tweak. So I would expect all modders that are updating their stuff, they may just update the mod to say 1.5, whatever they're going to call this update, 1.1.2. They may not change anything, but they may update it just so it's compatible. But that being said, I do expect mods to break. Not all mods, but there's going to be something. Anyway, this is the Nations of Byeth. So if you were a fan of the Crystal Hunt lore and collected all the entries, like this is what you're going to see. So you have the Eridon. This is their flag, that cringe blue flag you always see flying. So there's no Eridon update, but you can talk to the other nations without mentioning Eridon, since this is where the entirety of Blade and Sorcery takes place. So they're saying Eridon is despotic? I'm not... Okay, it's a despotic monarchy, whatever that means. I'm not smart enough. And these sketches, along with the coast of the western continents of Byeth, they feature an ecological, diverse landscape that ranges from lush green lands to more arid areas like the canyon and snowy mountain areas to sanctuary. So aesthetically, Eridon was mainly inspired by medieval Western Europe, like France, obviously, Ireland, with not surprised, Cosby's French, Barons, he's Irish, so you got a lot of Celtic designs, which is cool, and southern Spain as well. Now we have the landscapes of Rakta. It's a harsh, dangerous, craggy mountains, so swampy lowlands, created hardy people. It's a feudal empire. That armor is cool looking. It's very cool looking. I do wonder, though, I will keep reading this, but I do wonder, for Crystal Hunt and also for dungeon runs, are we going to have access to fighting these new people, or are they just going to be armor? But I want to see them. I want to see them in dungeons. They have to appear. Don't make them not appear. That would be a missed opportunity. But anyway, we have the Centauri. It's a compact merchant republic. This is pretty much what Baron is in-game. He's a defunct Centauri pirate, so more of him. It would be kind of funny to see. They're like an outlaw faction in Crystal Hunt, so maybe more of them. Now the Khartib is not much a single nation as far as a dozen micronations. They're diverse in customs and laws and stuff. They're like the desert. It's the sand world. And then you have the Maldlu. It's probably the closest living comparison to the Dalgarians. So this might be the first time we're going to be seeing any actual Dalgarian person, living or dead. But basically, it's inspired by African and Inuit cultures, which is really cool to see. I'm excited. So they're wishing to avoid repeating of past mistakes with the maiden hold and the crystals of the reverence, but use it only out of necessity as part of their technological survival. So the use of personal crystal sorcery is strictly forbidden. So will they use magic? Won't they use magic when you fight them? I don't know. It's against their beliefs. Anyway, moving outside of lore and moving on to like the mod conversation. So the move to OpenXR and Unity 6. So if you guys, this is the end of the updates video talk words. But here is kind of talking a little bit about the nitty gritty of the mods. So coinciding with the Rata update and unrelated to the actual update itself, there's going to be a big technological change under the hood for Blade and Sorcery, which is the move to OpenXR and Unity 6. Though it is a big challenge for us, players won't notice at all. However, it's still worth mentioning because it carries some mod risks. So unlike a regular PC game development, VR has the extra complication of needing to support many different headsets. So it's not just like, here's your PlayStation build, because every headset's different. You have Steam, you have OpenVR, Meta SDK, the Pico, all this stuff, all that fun stuff. So instead of supporting loads of different plugins, OpenXR just standardizes everything. So I'm interested to see what happens, especially with the different controllers. Like if it just becomes universal, that'd be kind of cool. As for Unity 6, on top of receiving any new Unity bug fixes, at least you would hope so, they're saying it's going to be compulsory for them, so this probably all sounds good, but here are the complication risks for mods. So moving to a new version of Unity means it's just the scripting update will need to be updated. So they're going to be working on the new scripting bridge, but you never know. There may be disruptions for scripting. Scripting is only relevant on Nomad, by the way. PC obviously superior. I'm not going to fight you on that one, but that's really going to affect Nomad. So this will only be relevant to Nomad players. So just mention it here, just in case Nomad people don't read the Steam update. So any mods that use input controls may be impacted by OpenXR and need to be updated. So this is what I was saying earlier, that updates means bye-bye mods. I'm sorry, it's just what it means. So they're not sure exactly what mods are out there that do this, but a mod that utilizes knuckle controllers, damn it, that makes me sad because that's me, I use that. Finally, update 6 will mean that map mods will need updating. Son of a bitch, there's so many good maps. So map modders will need to set up their nav meshes again. Jesus Christ, we're doomed. We're doomed, oh my God. Anyway, end the video, no, I'm just kidding. But so Baron says that's it. So next time you'll hear from them is when the Rockta update is more developed and they'll be able to share some previews on new stuff to come. But my goal is to make Baron a liar. I'm going to try to schedule a brief interview with him. Maybe we'll talk about some stuff. So, maybe the next time you hear from him will be on my video, Baron boy. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for stopping by. This is a video I did not plan, so that's why it sounds like I'm an insane person shouting into my room, because that's exactly what's happening. But if you're new to the channel and you like Blade and Sorcery, you want to see some new content, love VR, subscribe. It's free to do so. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Were you super surprised? Because I know I was. But other than that, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Drifter from Downloadable Content. You have been awesome, and I will see you next time.